Blood was dripping down Marcus Reed's cheek when the head flight attendant yanked him from his seat in first class. Her voice cut sharp enough to make the entire cabin freeze. "Your kind belongs in coach." For a second, nobody breathed. Then from the back, a deep voice thundered, "That man is a decorated war hero. You're assaulting a Silver Star recipient." Marcus never wanted a scene. At 51, after 3 decades in uniform, he just wanted to sit quietly in his suit, close his eyes, and make it to Washington in time for his son's memorial ceremony. He had bought that ticket 3 months earlier, long before the grief even settled into his bones. His boy Darren had been killed in Afghanistan pulling wounded brothers out of gunfire. The Army was awarding him the Silver Star tomorrow morning. Marcus couldn't miss it, not for anything. He had shown up at Dallas International in his dress uniform, polished shoes, medals stitched across his chest, the Silver Star of his own pinned over his heart. He walked through the sliding glass doors and told himself, just get there, no matter what. But even before he hit the security line, the whispers started. At check-in, the young agent's smile faltered the second she looked at his ticket. "First class. Let me verify that." Her fingers clattered on the keyboard harder than they needed to. Marcus stood there watching a businessman breeze through in 30 seconds while he was held up for nearly 3 minutes. "You've been selected for additional screening," she said with that empty smile. "Random, of course. Always random." He removed his shoes, his belt, his watch, even held out his arms, while the TSA agent ran hands across the medals sewn to his jacket like they were contraband. He kept still, jaw tight, remembering Darren's words the day he enlisted. "Dad, I'm following in your footsteps." Marcus endured it. He always endured it. For Darren, he would swallow worse. At the gate, another agent studied his ticket like it had to be counterfeit. "Are you sure this is yours?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am, bought it myself." He said it steady the way you do when you've been doubted your whole life. Eventually, they let him through. But not without that lingering look, the one that says you don't belong where you're standing. Walking down the jetway, Marcus noticed a tall man in a blazer just behind him. The kind of man you don't have to guess about military bearing in the way he carried his shoulders. Their eyes met for a flicker, a silent nod between soldiers, though Marcus couldn't place him. Inside the cabin, the purser Stephanie, according to her badge, lit up with smiles for an older white couple. She directed them to their seats like royalty. But when Marcus stepped forward, her smile vanished. Boarding pass. No warmth, just suspicion. She examined it like forged currency. "First class. How did you get this seat? Was it an upgrade?" "I purchased it directly 3 months ago. I'm traveling for my son's memorial ceremony." She pressed her lips into a line, retreated into the galley to whisper with another attendant, and left Marcus standing in the narrow passage while the line behind him grew restless. He felt the impatience pressing into his back, the sighs, the shuffling feet. Finally, she returned, shoved the boarding pass at him, and said flatly, "Fine. Seat 2A." Marcus placed his bag overhead, slid into the window seat, and tried to steady his breathing. She hovered, eyes locked on him like she was waiting for him to slip up. Other passengers got wine, poured jackets, hung bags stowed. He got surveillance. The plane filled. The man in the blazer from the gate boarded too, taking a seat across the aisle in row 4. Stephanie's whole demeanor shifted, smiles, respectful tone. "General Whitaker, what an honor. Can I get you something before we depart, General?" The name hit Marcus like a jolt. A 4-star, one of the highest ranks in the Army. He nodded politely back, then returned to the small photo album in his pocket. Darren grinning in his dress uniform, the two of them shoulder to shoulder in fatigues overseas, the last video call before the ambush. Marcus blinked hard. He couldn't lose this flight. Then came the strike. Stephanie returned clipboard in hand. "Sir, we have a seating issue. Your ticket appears irregular." Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Marcus answered evenly. "I've shown it twice. It was scanned at the gate. It's valid. There's a discrepancy in the system. I need to see it again." He handed it over calm as he could. She studied it like it was fake. And how exactly did you come to be in first class? I bought it 3 months ago. I'm on my way to my son's Silver Star ceremony. A man across the aisle groaned. Can we get moving already? Stephanie turned to him with sympathy. I'm sorry, sir, we're resolving this. Then back at Marcus with ice in her tone. Perhaps you should move to coach while we sort this out. My ticket is valid. I will not give up my seat. Her face hardened. You're being difficult. I'm being treated differently from every other passenger. That's the only irregularity here. The cabin went quiet. Every eye on him, every judgment burning into his skin. The captain's voice crackled overhead, announcing a passenger situation. Murmurs swept the cabin. Marcus stayed still, hands folded in his lap, every muscle tense, but controlled. Finally, Stephanie snapped. Then you leave us no choice. She reached down and grabbed his arm. In that cramped space, he lurched upward, his head smacking the overhead bin. Pain exploded across his temple, warmth running down his cheek. Look, he's resisting, she shouted. She yanked again. Blood dripped onto his uniform. Your kind belongs in coach. The words hit harder than the bin. They carried every echo from his childhood in Mississippi, from boot camp, from the whispers in officer briefings that he didn't belong. 30 years of service, 1 Silver Star, already earned countless sacrifices, and to her, he was still just a man to be shoved out of place. Passengers gasped. Some pulled out their phones. Most stayed silent. Silence always feels like complicity. Marcus braced, jaw-clenched, vision swimming. Darren's face flashed in his mind. He couldn't miss tomorrow. He wouldn't. Then it came, the voice that changed everything. That's enough. The deep baritone rolled over the cabin like thunder. Every head turned as the tall man in row 4 stood. His blazer shifted, revealing 4 stars. Release Sergeant Major Reed. Immediately. Stephanie's grip fell away like she'd touched fire. The co-pilot paled. General Whitaker, sir. Whitaker raised a hand. First things first. Attend to his injury. He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, pressed it into Marcus's palm. Here, Marcus. Hold this against your temple. The use of his first name wasn't lost on anyone. It carried weight, recognition, respect. Whitaker lifted the boarding pass from Stephanie's hand. This ticket was purchased 3 months ago. It is valid. So explain to me why a decorated veteran is bleeding in this seat instead of receiving basic courtesy. No one spoke. Passengers shifted uneasily. A woman whispered, I've got it on video. The general's voice cut again, measured but sharp. I watched this man questioned at check-in, flagged for extra screening, doubted at the gate, now assaulted on board, all while complying with every request. This isn't procedure, it's discrimination. The cabin's silence turned heavy, undeniable. A retired cop across the aisle finally muttered. She put hands on him. That was assault. The captain emerged, tried to smooth it over. Whitaker shut it down. This resolution will be public, Captain. He was humiliated in front of all. He will be vindicated the same way. Within minutes, airline management was on the phone. Stephanie was removed from the flight. Another loud passenger who had mocked Marcus was escorted off too. The cabin exhaled as the sources of venom disappeared. Management offered compensation. Marcus shook his head. I don't want your money. I want change, training, consequences, a way for good employees to report people like her without fear. Whitaker backed him, eyes drilling into the regional director. Don't just promise. Implement. From there, the flight softened. A younger attendant slipped Marcus an ice pack, whispered, She's done this before. We complained, nothing happened. Thank you for speaking up. Passengers one by one approached. An elderly woman apologized for staying silent. A businessman admitted, I should have said something sooner. Marcus accepted each word with quiet dignity. He didn't absolve, didn't condemn, just received. The rest of the flight passed with clear skies. Social media was already exploding clips of the incident, trending headlines popping up before they even landed. Marcus leaned back, touching the bandage on his temple. The pain throbbed, but deeper was the ache of memory. He looked again at Darren's photo. For you, son, he whispered. General Whitaker leaned closer. Tomorrow, you'll honor him. But today, Today, you honored more than just your boy. You reminded all of us what dignity looks like. The plane descended over Washington, the monuments shining in the evening light. Marcus straightened his uniform, silver star gleaming on his chest, and prepared to step off not as a victim, but as a man who had endured and forced the world to see him for who he was. Now I want to ask you, what would you have done on that plane? Would you have spoken up or sat in silence? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, because this isn't just about one flight. It's about what kind of society we all allow to exist. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that demand we ask the hard questions about justice, dignity, and the truth we can no longer ignore.